Hey guys, welcome to The Point. Obviously, I'm not Ana Kasparian, but I am Hannah Cranston. Anna will be back next week, don't you worry. But I'm super excited to be here because we have an all-redhead panel today. I'm going to introduce you to them in just a second. But first, we have some great stories for you guys today. Demi Lovato strips down. An Asian woman is asking her white friends to pay for her therapy, and a toddler has a complete head reattachment after he was decapitated. So obviously we have a lot in the store and a lot to get to, but first let me introduce you to our guests. First we have Placone, who is a comedian, and he is also a network partner here at the Young Turks.
Howdy.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Next we have Inessa Frantowski, who is an actor and comedian, and she recently co-hosted the Slut Walk. Oh, okay. So we have a lot in store for you guys today. Stick around and we'll be right back. So Demi Lovato stripped down for a Vanity Fair shoot, and it wasn't your average sexy spread. Now, Demi had 3 requirements for the photo shoot: that there were no clothes, no makeup, and no retouching. Now, this photo shoot was to promote her new album, Confident, which is fantastic. Let me just tell you about that. And she told the magazine that she recently suffered from eating disorders and hating every inch of her body, which she went to rehab for. And let's hear a little bit more about that.
I would have never thought that I would have ever gotten to a place in my life where I could feel comfortable doing that. It's empowering, and it shows other women that you can get to a place where you can overcome the obstacles of body image issues. And you can feel comfortable and confident in your skin.
Now, she said that she felt inspired to be super bold on the day of the photo shoot because it was the day after her great-grandfather died, actually. But Demi has been very open about her body issues, and this spread will be in Vanity Fair, as I mentioned. And I have a few thoughts about Demi's choice to do this, as well as the photos. But first, I want to hear from you guys. Inessa, make your point.
Well, I think this is great. I think this is a beautiful thing that she's doing, and I really do have a lot of compassion for this generation because I think that the millennials especially, I don't even know if they've ever seen an image in a magazine that wasn't photoshopped. So I think that it's great that she's doing this, and just actually as like a little PSA for millennials out there, here are some things that exist on the human body that maybe you don't know exist. Moles, wrinkles, skin tags, bunions, acne, bunionettes, which are just smaller bunions, I've learned, cellulite, liver spots. So all of these things I feel like young people today don't even know exist. And I feel like the first time you should see someone naked should be with your parents in the change room or something at the swimming pool. Like I feel like people should be more exposed to seeing regular humans naked with all of their flaws and wrinkles and that type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Ron, make your point.
Yeah, I mean, I say all power to her as well. And what kind of fascinates me about our sexual culture, especially here in the United States, and I think, Inessa, this is kind of to your point too, we have such, like, I mean, everything, digital images are so manipulated now and stuff like that, and we have such a focus on aesthetics. Yet, on the other side of it, we have this really puritanical attitude towards sexuality in general, just because of, you know, history and so forth. So it's this weird paradox, and as a result, you have these people that just really hate their bodies and hate to come to terms with what's going on there. So I say all power to her, and I really like the fact that people are starting to get away from that now. Like you're seeing like models of all sizes and stuff like that. I think that's a good thing. We should be cool with our bodies.
Totally. And Inessa, to your point, talking about people haven't seen women in magazines without retouching, you can't even see an Instagram without retouching, or a Facebook photo without retouching at this point. And my favorite part about this photo shoot is that for people who are struggling with body image, both men and women, they know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that you can get over some of those issues that, like she has here in this shoot and in her life. So I think that's a really great message. Now the question here is, what's an insecurity that you've dealt with? Ron?
Well, I'm 5'4". So, you know, that's always been something. It hasn't played a huge role in my life. I mean, in college, I dated a girl that was 6'1". Wasn't a big deal. She didn't care. I didn't care. But, and I did kind of overcome it, though, because I was in a really bad car accident a couple years ago. And the way the car impacted, because I got sideswiped, then I hit a medium. And the way the car impacted, it, like, the front just collapsed in. So had I had longer legs, I might have been in some trouble. So never complained about my height since then.
Oh.
Wow. Powerful. Inessa?
Well, you know, I've had all the insecurities. Let's be real. I'm a curvy woman. So curvy women weren't really popular until a few years ago. And curvy redheads, I had to wait until Mad Men came out. And then I was like, finally, it's my time, you know? But I also have a distinct memory. It's just a really weird, it just goes to show you how specific we can focus on these tiny details about our body. But the big insecurity I had like during puberty was that I was concerned that my areolas were too large, which is sort of the tinted area around your nipple. Yes, I am of Eastern European descent. And thankfully I have like kind of an insane Russian mother who taught me that beauty standards were different around the world based on various cultures and stuff. So I remember her just barging into my room one day being like, "You have beautiful breasts. Who needs these tiny nipples?" So I thought that was insane, but also helpful because it showed me that, you know, whatever.
You don't need
cool
tiny
mom.
nipples.
Cool mom.
Very
All
cool
nipples are
mom,
great,
yeah.
you know?
My insecurity with, so I work out a lot, so I have very muscular thighs. And right now, you know, with the talk of like the thigh gap and all of that stuff, that was a huge insecurity. And it took me I ran a marathon last year, and I was like, okay, my legs can do this. That's freaking awesome, regardless of what size they are. So that kind of helped me get through, like, okay, so maybe they don't look the way that they're supposed to look, but they can do a lot. So
Can I speak on that
Yeah.
point? I think that's a really good point for girls, because I think, again, if we focus more on what your body can do as opposed to what it looks like, so that you have hands that can draw, you have lips that can speak and express your point of view, you have strong legs that can run. You know what I mean? I think that's awesome.
Exactly. Okay, I want to hear from you guys what your insecurities are and what your body can do to kind of get over them. Leave it in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys soon. So a mom in Texas complained about the way that a textbook was written and actually got the publishers to change it. Now you're seeing here a picture of Ronnie Dean Buren and her son, Kobe Buren. And while in class, Kobe sent Dean Buren a picture of an excerpt from his history book. He's in 9th grade. And now the text showed the book calling slaves workers. Now the textbook reads, "The Atlantic slave trade between the 1500s and 1800s brought millions of workers from Africa to the southern United States to work on agricultural plantations." Now the book referred to slaves as workers and immigrants throughout the text. Kobe texted his mom, "We was real hard workers, wasn't we?" And then she posted this to Facebook saying that the Atlantic slave trade brought millions of workers. Notice the nuanced language there. Workers implies wages, yes. Now she talked about how her son sent this to her and that he was in 9th grade and asking that the publishers then change it. Now the publishing house, McGraw-Hill, has released a statement saying, "We believe we can do better. To communicate these facts more clearly, we will update this caption to describe the arrival of African slaves in the U.S. as a forced migration and emphasize that their work was done as slave labor." And so the edits will appear in the online version of the textbook immediately, and they will also be included in the book's next printing. So this is a pretty powerful case of human action and what it can do to sort of change something that is totally wrong, in my opinion. But we'll get to my opinion soon. First, I want to hear from you guys. Ron, make your point.
So this is supposed to be like an uplifting thing. And in many ways it is, right? The people have truth to power and stuff. But part of me was really annoyed by this whole thing. Because first of all, this mistake should have never happened.
Correct.
This should have been nipped in the bud right away. Second of all, like they said they're going to change it in the next edition. There's one industry in publishing that's still making a lot of money. It's the textbook industry. They update these editions and they require the students to have it, and they make a lot of money out of this. So McGraw-Hill financially is kind of going to win out here. I think it would have been cooler if they came out with a new edition and they provided it for free for any school that wanted it, but that's not what's going to happen.
That's a really, really great point. I want to hear your point, Inessa.
Well, I think it's awesome that this mom did this, and I think it's awesome that her son made this observation and talked about it with his mom. That's already super amazing. But I was born in a communist country, so I am no stranger to the government sort of rewriting history. And I actually do think that, when speaking to your point, that this isn't a mistake that shouldn't have happened. I think there are a lot of mistakes in our history books that shouldn't have happened. I think if we went through, it's all based on somebody else's perspective. So I think it's always important to be objective and to think about things on your own and not necessarily believe everything that you read anyway.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point that you made, sort of about rewriting history. I mean, that's what these textbooks are doing, and there's a lot of situations in America and in other countries where it's almost propaganda, where they try to change their mistakes and they try to kind of downplay some of the things that they've done. And guess what? The slave trade was a horrendous and awful thing. They should have an entire textbook kind of detailing that so that we know what happened and that we don't repeat our mistakes. That's my opinion, but I want to hear a time that you guys stood up to a teacher. Inessa.
Oh man, it's crazy what I guess teachers used to be able to get away with. But I had this teacher, I think it was a French teacher or something. No, maybe it wasn't French, but it was, he was going through a divorce, and he used to do this weird thing on his lunch breaks where he would he had some weird kind of rowy exercise equipment in the classroom, and I feel like maybe he was living at the school. But one time I came in, and he was in his underwear, and his pants were on his desk. His hair was a mess, and I feel like he had rum in his coffee cup. So I just was like, "Put on your pants, please." It was insane. I don't think he ever got fired or anything. What a nightmare.
Ron, did you ever have to tell somebody to put on their pants? If not, you tell me that you had to stood up to a teacher.
Mine's not as exciting in comparison. I'm a southpaw. I'm left-handed. And in the 4th grade, this teacher required us to use erasable pen, which is something left-handed people can't do. You know, you write left, so it's like you wear half of it. And I remember this teacher, for whatever reason, didn't understand that. And one time she showed my written work to another student's written work, a right-handed student, and she was just like, "Look at this, this is unacceptable." And I was like, wow, I felt terrible. I told my mom about it, and my mom, had an intellectual understanding that was more advanced than a 10-year-old, and my teachers, who I guess was on the same length as a 10-year-old, explained to me why the writing thing didn't work out for me because I was left-handed. So I refused to use erasable pen. After that, I used permanent pen, and when the teacher confronted me about it, I explained to her what I guess she should have already known.
And she made the adjustment? She
Oh
was like,
yeah,
all right?
I never had to use erasable pen again.
Oh, okay. So I am Jewish, and I had to go to Hebrew school when I was younger, and I remember so distinctly being in a Hebrew class where they were talking about how the Jews are the chosen people, which is kind of like a known thing that Jews talk about. And I remember just being so mind-boggled as a young girl, and I was like, wait, why do we get to say we're the chosen people? You know, maybe the Christians think they're the chosen people. Maybe the Muslims think they're the chosen people. Well, who gets to say that we're the chosen people? It was such a thing. And the teacher got angry and I got pulled aside. And I said, dude, we're not the chosen people. Who gets to say that? Everybody's going to think that they're right and other people are wrong. Why don't we just say, we're all chosen. We're all here on earth.
Oh, I love that. We're all chosen. We're all chosen to be here. Beautiful.
Exactly. That was my story, but I want to hear from you guys about a time that you stood up to a teacher. Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys soon. So an Oregon woman is asking her white friends to pay for her therapy. Now, Rena Rem is Asian, and she recently got into a bar fight when somebody poured beer over her friends, and she confronted him, and they called her a derogatory term, chink. Rem says that she has seen a therapist after this incident because she was extremely traumatized from the fight and from the ensuing racial slurs. Now, this is a site from her fundraising page where she would like to ask her white friends to pay for the therapy that she's had to pay for following this event. Now, the name of the campaign is White Friends Pay for My Therapy. Rina says that the stress of living as a Thai Cambodian woman in such a white city, replete with constant interpersonal and institutional racism, has a big toll on my health and well-being. I see an amazing therapist to cope with this shit, but I spend $100 a month on therapy for bi-weekly appointments, and now it's your turn to pay. And sort of her explanation as to why white people should pay for her therapy is that she says she feels that white people created race to subjugate people in the first place, so the onus should be on them to end racism. Now, after she kind of debuted this campaign, she has received a lot of hate on the internet. These are some of the emails that she's received. Some of them saying that she's an idiot. She was wondering, people wondering if this was a joke, and are her white ally points a thing? Now, her original goal was to raise $600. Now, as she gets more hate, she's saying that she's raising the price and raising the goal. Her goal now is $2,400. Now, this is really interesting because a lot of Cambodians who kind of face some of the effects of the genocide in the 70s have exhibited symptoms of major affective disorders, and it is possible that Rina is also suffering the effects of that. has a whole handful, but I want to know your guys' thoughts on this. Inessa?
I think what she's doing is awesome because it sparks a conversation. So even though people might have differing opinions, and in terms of can you blame white people for racism, I don't even know if that matters, because I'm applauding her for reaching out and getting therapy. I'm applauding her for talking about it, and she's asking friends. So if people want to support her through this, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think the fact that she's raising the dollar proves that racism is so prevalent, because as she keeps kind of getting more racist comments, we can see that this is something that we do need to talk about. So I think you might not agree with her, but I think what she's doing is really cool and sparking an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it is interesting that she's seeking out therapy, and I support anybody who does that. It's actually a fact that people of Asian descent are the ethnic group that is least likely to seek mental health services in the U.S. So it is also an anomaly that she's doing this. Ron, what's your point?
Yeah, you know, I tend to agree. You know, on the surface, sometimes you're like, oh, gee, I don't know. I mean, I'm a white person. I don't think that particular bigot speaks for me at all. But then I went to the page and I kind of read what it was about. And we live in a society right now where people are so quick to kind of just pass the buck and kind of marginalize with the whole, like, whenever something bad happens, well, not all white people are bad, not all Christians are bad, not all cops are bad, and it's getting so tiring. So to see someone that's kind of just taking the gloves off and being like, look, as a group, this has been going on, and you guys should be aware of this. And as a, I mean, I personally don't know what it's like to suffer from racism on a regular basis, or even at all, really. So yeah, I think she's sparked a pretty great conversation.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she sparked a great conversation. I applaud her for seeking therapy. I can see why she's getting the hate, obviously, because of the way that she's approaching it. I think sometimes battling, you know, race with race is not always a good idea, but I definitely think that people should support her in her kind of coping and dealing with all of that. But I want to know from you guys, if someone owes you money, do you ask for it or do you kind of let it go?
I think that if you shouldn't really lend money that you're not willing to lose, I think. Yeah. You know, I'm just going to grab it from, like, the $250,000 stack I've got on my desk, you know. It's just me pretending I'm Drake again. Always pretending I'm Drake. I'm not Drake. I don't have the money. No, I think you should just, you should just only lend what you can afford to lose. Then it's a true act of generosity.
My rule is, if it's less than $20 and it's over 6 months, just let it go. If it's more than $20, chances are I'm not the person that loaned you money.
That's so funny.
$20, man, really? I'm thinking thousands. Woo.
You're rolling in it. No, for me, I usually let it go. I think money is something, you know, we're all scrounging for it, but at the same time, it's not something to get in sort of a dispute in a friendship or a relationship or anything like that. It's one of those sort of small things that your relationships are much more important than money. But that's just my opinion. But I want to know from you guys what you think about this story. And also, if someone owes you money, do you ask for it or you just let it go? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys soon. Australian doctors have performed a miracle surgery by reattaching the head of a toddler who was internally decapitated. Now, this is 16-month-old Jackson Tyler, who was in a car accident with his mother and 9-year-old sister, and they crashed into another vehicle at about 70 miles per hour. Now, he did face an internal decapitation in which the head is pulled apart from the rest of the body. Now, this is kind of what it looks like from an X-ray. And as you can see, the head was detached from the vertebrae. And Australia's godfather of spinal surgery, they call him, Dr. Geoff Askin, led this operation. And he used a tiny piece of wire as well as a piece of Taylor's rib to reattach the vertebrae successfully. Now, the operation only took 6 hours, which to me is extremely short for attaching a person's head. This is Taylor after the surgery. As you can see, he'll be wearing a halo to keep everything together for the next 8 weeks, but then he'll be expected to lead a healthy life after that. So you can see him here playing with his parents, who are obviously very excited that he's kind of recovered from this surgery and is recovering, and will then just kind of be a normal kid after this tragic accident. I have a few thoughts about this. I love babies, so I obviously have a lot of thoughts, but I want to hear your guys' first. Ron, make your point.
I mean, it's hard to just not be really uplifted by a story like this. I mean, it's incredible, and you know, it's one of those things like, in medicine, we've done so many incredible things, and this is one of those incredible things. We still have a long way to go. We're still holding out for that cancer cure. We're still holding out for a cure for the common cold. But this is absolutely incredible, and it's really cool to just see that kid smiling, see his little Superman sticker. It's like you're like, all right, we put this in the win column for humanity.
Yeah.
That's right, the win column for humanity. I feel that that's a really good point because too often we focus on all of the problems in the world, but this is a really great thing. This is pretty amazing. It actually makes me feel pretty crummy about what I'm getting done in a day. You know, I'm not, I'm like complaining about having to go. I was like, oh, I've got to go mail that letter. You know what I mean? There are people out there doing really amazing, incredible things to help other people. It's awesome.
No, I think that's a great point. And I want to go back to something that you said because we do focus a lot on the negatives, especially when it comes to medicine. You know, people die every day. And so it's nice when we get to kind of look on the bright side and have that sort of uplifting story of the medical advances that we had, especially reattaching somebody's head. That's amazing, especially someone so young and so delicate. But I want to hear from you guys. Would you rather have a face transplant or a body transplant? That is the question for today. Ron.
I'm gonna go with face.
Okay.
Just because, well, just you know, and I'm okay with my face. It's fine. You know, I've had
You
it
have a
for a
lovely
while.
face. I'm
Thank
seeing
you.
it in very close quarters right now.
I was fishing for it. I would say thank you.
Well, you got it.
No, but I just think the body is such a complex mechanism that I'd be scared if I got a body transplant. Like, what if something was goofy? And so far, you know, my body's been pretty good to me. So I'm not gonna try to fix something that as of right now isn't broken that I know of.
Okay.
So I'll just go with face.
All right. Inessa, what about you?
Well, I'm going the other way. I learned my lesson from the movie Face Off. So I'd be concerned. I'm going to go with body because honestly, who wouldn't want to be a woman with a face that looks exactly like Jay Leno? And if you don't believe me, check my Instagram. I really, really do look like Jay Leno. But I do think your face has so much of your personality and represents so much of your character. So for me, you know, body, you know what? I'll take a couple extra boobs. Yeah, take whatever you want. Throw whatever you want on this old bod. Who cares? The face, I want my face.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think because I look at my face every day, so I'm used to what it is. And so I would like to keep that. But Giselle, if you're looking to give up your body, I will take it. Just let me know. But I want to hear from you guys. Would you rather a face transplant or body transplant? Leave it in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys soon. To what extent would you go to get out of an awkward breakup? Well, one man, Hayden Vanderveer, stole a truck so that he could get arrested to get away from his wife. Now, he broke into his old workplace, damaging property and stealing a pickup truck belonging to his former boss, and then he drove it into a creek. Now, he says he stole the truck and planned to get caught so that he could go to jail and get away from his wife. Now, he said she is having a bad time right now. She knows I did this to get away from her. And just for clarification, this is from this is our quote to kind of give you guys the full scope of this story. But what he actually said is, she knows I'd done this to get away from her. Now, he is from Tennessee. Police say that Vanderveer was caught on camera stealing the 2012 prized Dodge 2500, a trailer value of over $60,000. Now, he quit his job a year ago. He said that he hated his boss, so seems like a perfect situation. He's getting at his wife and his boss that he hates. And the only thing that he didn't like about this incident, he enjoyed it all, was that he had to swim out of the river after crashing the truck into the creek. Now, he was charged with driving under the influence, burglary, and vandalism alongside with other crimes. He also admitted that he was under the influence of drugs, another at the time. This is a very interesting story, but Ron, I want you to hear your points.
I think that the whole him blaming his wife was bullshit on his part. I think he was just looking for a scapegoat. I think this is a dude like he was ticked off at his boss.
Yeah.
He was just completely disenfranchised. He had Springsteen blasting on the stereo, and he was like, "I'm starting over again. I'm gonna get a clean slate, but first I'm taking this thing to the water."
All right.
And then he was just looking for something. He's like, "You know what? I'm sick of her too." So I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, tough life for Hayden. Inessa, make your point.
I guess the question sort of on my mind is this guy single now? because he seems like a real good catch. You know what? Honestly, this is a hilarious story. But he's doing the old classic get away from the old ball and chain bit. But I do feel that this bothers me a little bit because I'm just kind of tired of people seeing relationships as a bad thing. And I just want to remind everyone out there that statistically, people in monogamous relationships have more and frequent sex. So it's like, you know what, man? I'm so tired of people hating on relationships. They're a good time. They're a blast, especially with me.
Okay. So you're single, and she's also looking, if you have stolen a truck, she would like you to hit her up. Yeah, no, I love this story. It's a fun story. Yeah, I don't know if I believe him that he was just trying to get away. I think he was just really high. And I think he's like trying to get with the judge. He's like, man, you know you hate your wife too. Come on, throw me a bone here. And I love that, they clearly communicated after this saying that she's having a bad time. Like, we're working things through. Ladies, if your man crashes a truck to get away from you because he wants to go to jail, it's time to cut it off. All right? Listen to me.
He's not into you. He's not into you.
He's not into you. Exactly. Exactly. All right, the question is, are you a happy drunk or a mad drunk, Inessa?
Oh, I think we know the answer to that. I'm a blast. I'm going to be trying to get people drunk right after we shoot this show. You know
All
what
right,
I mean?
sign me up. I'll be there. All right, what about you, Ron?
You know, I've seen a little bit of both. I've had some arguments where alcohol was involved. Alcohol didn't help that argument. But I think overall happy. Like one time in college, my girlfriend at the time was the designated driver. So she drove me, and I tied a few on. And afterwards, I was like just thanking her for the evening, and I picked up my guitar, and I played that song, You Look Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton.
Woo!
And yeah, and according to her, I played it perfectly. Like I played it flawlessly and sang all the verses. The next day, I couldn't remember how to play the song. And I was like, are you serious? And she was like, you played the whole thing, and it was actually really good. And I was like, really? And she was sober, so I mean, I'm assuming it's the truth. But I couldn't remember how to play it the next day.
You should just be drunk, and then you could be a musician.
I know. It's the only thing holding me back.
All right, next time. I'm a happy drunk. I'm usually happy because when I'm drunk, I'm a great dancer. I'm a great singer. I'm fun to be around. So that's why I'm happy, because I know I have all these things going for me when I'm drunk. But definitely, I don't really get mad in real life, so I don't think I would get mad in drunk life either. That's kind of how I feel about it. But I want to know what you guys feel about it. What do you think about this story, and whether you're a happy drunk or a mad drunk? Let us know in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys soon. All right, guys, thanks for joining us on The Point. Anna will be back next week, but for now, I'm Hannah Cranston. I want to allow our guests today to kind of tell you where you can find them. Ron, tell people where they can find you.
I'm Ron Placone. You can find me on my website, ronplacone.com, and over on YouTube. And also my website has links to my weekly radio show and stuff like that. And when I'll be coming to a city near you, 'cause I'm on the road a lot. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome.
ronplacone.com.
Hi, you'll find me at Inessa Comedy, Inessa, because I've got a weird Russian name, and that's on Twitter and Instagram. And on Instagram, you'll find a cool side-by-side of me and Jay Leno. Check it out. I look exactly the same.
And again, I'm Hannah Cranston. You can find me on Instagram at run_HMC and at youtube.com/Hannah Cranston. Thanks, guys, for joining us. As always, give us your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Because it was the day after her great-grandfather died, actually. But Demi has been very open about her body issues, and this spread will be in Vanity Fair, as I mentioned. And I have a few thoughts about Demi's choice to do this, as well as the photos. But first, I want to hear from you guys. Inessa, make your point.
Well, I think this is great. I think this is a beautiful thing that she's doing, and I really do have a lot of compassion for this generation, because I think that the millennials especially, I don't even know if they've ever seen an image in a magazine that wasn't photoshopped. So I think that it's great that she's doing this, and just actually as like a little PSA for millennials out there, here are some things that exist on the human body that maybe you don't know exist. Moles, wrinkles, skin tags, bunions, acne, bunionettes, which are just smaller bunions, I've learned.
And we'll be right back. So Demi Lovato stripped down for a Vanity Fair shoot, and it wasn't your average sexy spread. Now, Demi had 3 requirements for the photo shoot: that there were no clothes, no makeup, and no retouching. Now, this photo shoot was to promote her new album, Confident, which is fantastic. Let me just tell you about that. And she told the magazine that she recently suffered from eating disorders and hating every inch of her body, which she went to rehab for. And let's hear a little bit more about that.
I would have never thought that I would have ever gotten to a place in my life where I could feel comfortable doing that. It's empowering, and it shows other women that you can get to a place where you can overcome the obstacles of body image issues, and you can feel comfortable and confident in your skin.
Now, she said that she felt inspired to be super bold on the day of the photo shoot.
Bodies and hate to come to terms with what's going on there. So I say all power to her, and I really like the fact that people are starting to get away from that now. Like you're seeing like models of all sizes and stuff like that. I think that's a good thing. We should be cool with our bodies.
Totally. And Inessa, to your point, talking about people haven't seen women in magazines without retouching, you can't even see an Instagram without retouching, or a Facebook photo without retouching at this point. And my favorite part about this photo shoot is that for people who are struggling with body image, both men and women, they know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that you can get over some of those issues that, like she has here in this shoot and in her life. So I think that's a really great message. Now the question here is, what's an insecurity that you've dealt with, Ron?
Well, I'm 5'4".
Okay.
So, you know, that's always been something. It hasn't played a huge role in my life. I mean, in college, I dated a girl that was 6'1". Wasn't a big deal. She didn't care. I didn't care. But,
Hey guys, welcome to The Point. Obviously, I'm not Ana Kasparian, but I am Hannah Cranston. Anna will be back next week, don't you worry. But I'm super excited to be here because we have an all-redhead panel today. I'm going to introduce you to them in just a second. But first, we have some great stories for you guys today. Demi Lovato strips down. An Asian woman is asking her white friends to pay for her therapy, and a toddler has a complete head reattachment after he was decapitated. So obviously we have a lot in the store and a lot to get to, but first let me introduce you to our guests. First we have Ron Placone, who is a comedian, and he is also a network partner here at the Young Turks.
Howdy.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Next we have Inessa Frantowski, who is an actor and comedian, and she recently co-hosted the Slut Walk. Oh, okay. So we have a lot in store for you guys today. Stick around.
Cellulite, liver spots. So all of these things I feel like young people today don't even know exist. And I feel like the first time you should see someone naked should be with your parents in the change room or something at the swimming pool. Like I feel like people should be more exposed to seeing regular humans naked with all of their flaws and wrinkles and that type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Ron, make your point.
Yeah, I mean, I say all power to her as well. And what kind of fascinates me about our sexual culture, especially here in the United States, and I think, Inessa, this is kind of to your point too, we have such, like, I mean, everything, digital images are so manipulated now and stuff like that, and we have such a focus on aesthetics. Yet, on the other side of it, we have this really puritanical attitude towards sexuality in general, just because of, you know, history and so forth. So it's this weird paradox, and as a result, you have these people that just really hate their